Being the bravest and strongest to come to the last session of today. As Rosa said, my name is Bojana Milutinovic and I have the pleasure of moderating today's session. My background combines over 15 years in oil and gas, in strategy and leadership roles, with my current role in Padel as a manager for professional players, including Boyka, and a co-founder of niche Padel business consultancy. Today's conversation is about the next phase of Padel expansion. Not only how the sport grows, but how it grows with structure, also strategy and long-term value. We will look at the role of federations, the balance between shared standards and local realities, and how national strategies connect with business, young talents, and responsible growth. Most importantly, we will ask how different markets can learn from each other so Padel does not grow in isolated pockets, but as a strong global ecosystem. I have a great pleasure to introduce Koji Nakatsuka, President of Japan Padel Association, fifth board member, and one of the key figures of development Padel in Asia. Koji has a fascinating and truly interesting Padel history. He connects Japan, Asia, and Latin Padel culture. He was born in Paraguay, and there he was introduced to Padel in 1990s, and later became one of the people helping to build and formalize Padel as a sport in Japan. Today, he goes beyond the national market through his role in Asian Padel development, including Padel Asia and the wider international federational structure. Koji is involved in shaping one of the most strategic regions for Padel's next phase, including the movement towards major multi-sport events such as Asian Games. Koji, it's really great to see you, and I will just use the opportunity to ask you a first question, and that is, some people still call Asia an emerging market. From your perspective, is Asia following the global Padel movement, or could it actually redefine what is happening with Padel?
Yeah, thank you, Bojana, for having me. I'm very happy to come here. So I think Asia is one of the potential market for the future. So I think the global markets and the expansion of the sport, I think we can make a new achievement for Padel. So I think one of the continents that we are emergent, but we have a lot of population, a lot of power to grow. So I think we become more than we expect. So I believe that Asia will be the center of the Padel.
Does it stay the same for the whole Asia, or do you have differences in various Asian regions when it comes to the growth of Padel?
Yes, for sure. So geography, Asia is a big continental place. So we have the South, West Asia, we have the Far East Asia, Middle East, and we have a different perspective of the markets. So that is very interesting when you handling this kind of the Asia continents, because I'm involved in the Padel Asia, the Asia federations. So we are different culture, different language, different time zones. So for us, it's very important to have the education and fluent. So this point is the point, I think, because we have the same goal, but sometimes we need to care about that and to have the same point of view, because everybody want to be best of the Padel, but sometimes the background is totally different. So we need to share, and we need to have the unified the goal.
Thank you, Koji. That's really great, because what I want to just show is how big a region we have when we talk about Asia. And on the other side, we have a really great pleasure to welcome Naomi Nicole, who is the president and CEO of the Padel Federation of Ireland, and one of the people who has been involved in shaping the Irish padel from its early development stage into a more structured national development. Naomi's work is especially interesting because Ireland is not only growing padel as a competitive sport, but also as a community sport, focused on accessible, social, and attractive new players. She has been involved across whole pathway from coaching, marketing, club management, all the way down to federational leadership, which gives her a very practical view of what it takes to build a sport from really ground up. Under the Padel Federation of Ireland, we're also seeing important steps in women participation, junior development, national competition, and international ambition. And you have included, you were included in the launch of the first ever Padel Irish Open as part of the cooperative tour. So really well done in very short period of time. So my first question to you, Naomi, is what can Ireland teach larger and more mature markets when it comes to growth of padel?
I think how we started off, which was huge focus on grassroots and inclusion as well. And I think that's really helped to drive padel in Ireland. And we're seeing this across all of the new clubs that are following with these pathways. And I think that's important in order for padel to grow, to be sustainable, for there to be a link in with the National Federation, of course, and then all of the commercial operators and the various different stakeholders.
Absolutely. I have to say I'm so impressed with the amount of really inclusion that you are doing, and I think you're a showcase to other federations, so we will talk about it later. But really well job and well done.
Thank you.
Before we speak about the strategies that you implement, we need to understand what is actually moving and driving the growth of padel. In some markets, expansion is driven by private clubs and investors, in some other federational structure, but there is, I think, no guaranteed pathway to success. So I'd like to understand the real engine behind the expansion of padel in your regions. So Naomi, when it comes to Ireland, like, is it more national federation that is driving the growth, private clubs, investors, players, communities? What is driving the growth?
I think it's a collaboration, and I think it is for the National Federation needs to have all of the pathways there that are available in order to provide sustainable growth. The operators, the commercial operators that are coming in are key for development and for the wider community, providing padel opportunities and providing the facilities there. So I do think it's a collaboration, and then of course players, the overall growth has collaboration.
Very good. What would you think, Coach? Would you agree, or would you emphasize the importance of one party?
I mean, I'm totally agree with Naomi. So it's a combination with all of the points, because in the economy growth, you need cycling the markets, the competition, and the promotion, right? So this is the one cycle that you need to push, grow the market, the sport. So I believe that the competition is very important too. The players are very important, but in the same time, I think the sponsor is very important too, and the new players coming is the amateurs players, because we are working for creating more new players for the market. So I think the position of the association, the federation, is to collaborate with the market, with to have more officialism, to have more power to collaborate with the market. I think is the combination with the all of things.
Right, but what would you say then is the main goal of federation? Is it just to link all the parts of the ecosystem of padel in the region, or is it something more?
Yeah, I think it's something more, because we sometimes nobody knows what kind of the job we are doing for grow the market, because we work for the basement of the grades, the amateurs players, seniors, juniors. So this kind of the project is long-term projects. So you cannot see, you know, in 1, 2, 3 days the result of the sport. But I think this is the base of the pyramids that we need to create it, and this is the job of the federation for each country.
What would you say, Naomi? What would be the main role of federation?
So, like Okroji said, it is about providing the pathways, and also our role is to implement paddle within our own communities as per the International Federation. So we then need to guide our own communities in terms of the competition regulations, even court regulations, the guidelines that are all there, and all of the other policies that are in place. So I do think that's important, and that everything is, you know, in line with the international. So, and that's where
with the standards,
with the standards,
setting,
exactly.
everything. Yeah. But what would you say then? Like, to me, like, I'm just thinking from the perspective of the country that, for example, doesn't have a federation.
Yeah.
So if I just hear like, oh, you need to collaborate and align with what people say, it sounds simple. But I'm sure there is a lot of problems that can happen. So what would you say was the bottlenecks or difficult parts that you experienced?
So
when
the bottleneck in Ireland and probably a lot of countries is demand and supply, and not having enough courts or facilities to facilitate, you know, for the demand that is there as the sport grows. And at the moment, it's the huge wave of growth. So that would definitely be a bottleneck.
Right.
Yeah.
And is it the same in Japan?
Yes, you know, we can tell that Japan as Asia too, because as mentioned before, that we are geographically bigger and huge. The most key to understanding big, small, medium federation to understanding is communication. So we have, for example, in Padel Asia, every 2 months online meeting with for the nation, to understanding what is the next plan, what is the points that we need to care, or to share about the some information that they need, because if you don't understand the system of the federation, sometimes you are doing your best, but for another person it's not the best, you know. So that is you know, something make conflict with the between federations, because nobody wants to make a wrong thing, but the point is less communication. So I think the point right now is to have more information, conversation, and keep more understanding between us.
Very good. So I understand that there is like growth, and then there is a structure. So every sport really needs those standards and regulations in everything, in coaching, in communication, in competition, governance. So everything is in a way set by the FIP, but then you have your local regulations as well. So what we see worldwide is that paddle is not growing everywhere in the same way and with the same let's say steps. And the culture and geographics and economics are different. So the question is not only what we need to standardize, but also how do we keep something that is unique to every nation or every region, right? So my question is, on one side, where do federations need stronger alignment? Like, what needs to be the same across all federations?
Well, maybe even to know where the participation levels are. For example, women in sport. How is women in sport in specific regions? Do different national federations need to improve in that area? What about juniors? Whereas the junior participation, so I know with a lot of the newer countries, the junior participation is key for the development, but it's also slower to take off. So it's where are these areas that can be improved upon as well, and the the more developed federations are stepping in to help. I can use our own country as an example. With Ireland, we needed to develop a program for juniors, so we enlisted the help via FIP through the Spanish Federation to enlist coaches to come over to run a program with us for our coaches, coaching our coaches on how to develop juniors. And we were collaborating with the Valencian Federation, who have a huge junior, a very impressive junior pathway. So we were working with them, and
that's a very good example that actually you found help through FIP from another federation, which is, I think, the role that FIP should be doing when supporting the various federations. But how do we protect the individuality then on every market? Like, can you tell me, Koji, what is one unique thing Padel related for Japanese market? Is there something unique that you would like to protect regardless of standards?
Yeah, well, Japan is one of the countries that is unique, So we had a lot of points that is the unique point, but I think that Naomi said sometimes, right now the world is totally informated for and sharing about that. So I think we have the international standard. But we can adapt to the local market, local federation. So, but the basement is the standard of keep the international points, like FIP and everything.
Yeah, but would you say there is something specific about Japan?
Wow.
Or
when you think about that?
Yeah, well, I know that Japan is very structured and aligned with the standards.
Yes.
But at least you have a great food, so.
Great. Yes, we have structure, we have discipline, we have the food, but this is very important, and we need to care about that. But I think that the basement of that is international thing, and to adapt. If we can make, you can adapt.
Understand. What about Ireland? What is unique about Ireland and some Padel-related things? Do you think there is something that can be specific when people come and play in your country?
I think I don't think it's specific to Ireland. I was just going to say how social it is and the grassroots movement, but I don't think that's specific to Ireland.
So you also tend to just align with the standards that FIP is setting. What about you? You were mentioning, I remember when we were preparing for this panel, you were mentioning the level of inclusion and the level of female participation, which I think is really specific for your federation.
Well, we do continue to run programs specific to competition and grassroots level in terms of women in sport, and so that's it's only because we saw the gap, which is definitely narrowing. It's 40-60 at this stage, but addressing the gaps and looking for the gaps and trying to put something in place to.
So I have one provoking question. It's I don't know whether you're gonna like it, but should FIP and really move towards a more transparent annual development review? Should FIP really see in more details what every nation is doing and ensure that we all grow in the same way?
So I think what they, about a year ago, getting rid of the IOC, they did do that, a full audit on all the national federations, where everybody had to submit all sorts of documentation and all of their information over a course of a number of months. A lot of work went into it. So for that reason, that was quite intensive, I think, for all national federations having to submit all of that. But also it's very good that happens, because then it means that we're both FIP and ourselves, the national federations, are aligned with the IOC, because that's the movement, that's where the standards that we're set against is the International Olympic Committee.
I really like that what Padel is actually doing is also, as a sport, learning from other organizations like Olympic Games and learning how to best implement the standardization across various nations. So what do you think about this coaching?
Yes, I think we have for example, the Continental Federation that we have communicated with between us, and we have the annual or mensual meeting with to understanding what status that we are. So that's very important to understanding what level as doing for the small, medium, or large federation. So for me, to be more transparent or more clear is to communicate, to understanding what kind of the concern, what kind of the problem, what kind of the successful history that there are to grow or to have more points to establish the standard of the federation.
Yeah. I think it's critical the role of FIP also to ensure communication between various nations. So when we have somebody who is just a junior country in the formal world of Padel, we should ensure to help them and show them maybe how to best overcome the challenges that other nations have. But I think a very important thing that everybody is saying is like the number of courts that we have and the number of courts that are built every year. But we may miss the big question at this moment in time, and that is who will actually fill those courts. So the long-term value of Padel will depend on whether we develop young players, coaches, recreational communities, women participation, schools, future Padel professionals, etc. So I would like to ask if we look in 5 to 10 years ahead, where should federations invest first now? In young, in coaches, in recreational communities? What do you think? Where should federations invest in?
Again,
now?
a combination of all, but obviously I know I'm using, but the juniors is obviously key to the sustainability of Padel, and that's globally. So we need juniors, and then we need the coaches then to help with that. So we need to also, it's up to the national federations as well to ensure that we have a good coaching standard and enough coaches as well to meet the demand and the number of courts growing.
What do you think? Is it also investment in youth and coaches in the first place, or do you think differently?
Totally agree with Naomi. It's a combination. So I said before that we need to, it's the cycle. We need to be promotion, markets, and competition together. So of course, we need to take care about juniors and the amateurs players, because junior, for example, is the future of the sport. And for have the good juniors, you need to care about that the good coaches, for example. For about the good coaches, you need to have good facilities for taking. So this is the cycle, So the point of the federation is take care about all of the points, because it's not only the business side, or not only the institutional thing. So we need to care about all of the
whole ecosystem.
So it is always the answer: collaboration, communication, combination, and the system. But if we think about less Padel developed countries or underdeveloped countries, how do you think we can support them? Because as I know, in FIP we currently have 100 countries, federations. So how do you think we can involve others, and what can we do to help these less developed countries to join the Padel community?
Well, I suppose coming from one of the younger countries, it is looking to the more developed countries, looking to see what they've done, and then looking out for support, linking in with the more developed federations, see what they're doing, enlist their help. Instead of reinventing the wheel, there are a lot of programs and initiatives that are working, and then
Well, would you add something, Koji?
Yes, for example, Padel is we have more than 50 years of history, and the FIB have more than 30 years history. So I think the large federation, we can learn about that, So, but that is true that the time of the life is more faster right now because with the internet, with the communication and everything. So I think we need to adapt for the new generation, new facilities, new communication.
Yeah.
So but it's not easy. It's not easy because we have the one thing to take care. But for me, to adapt to the new generation, to new formats is very important.
When we talk about these less developed countries, I think a natural question that comes to my mind is the question of responsible development. So I don't see too much, like, yes, we talk about recycling of the balls and recycling of the courts, but should we think more about responsible development in terms of protecting the waters, energy sources, and long-term environmental impact? What can we really do to make Padel more responsible?
Well, I think as well with the sustainability obviously is key. It's important, and that's also looking at the ports that are being built and developed, and to make sure that they're within the regulations, just that the ports are going to be sustainable, that they're going to be there long after like they've been built, and that they're there for
to have the
good warranty, the longevity, exactly, and that they're being maintained, that there's a system in place for clubs that get new ports, what is in place for them,
Absolutely.
in order to maintain, so that so that's important.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
So I think I will use this opportunity because you're a member of a FIP board. So I would just say maybe some of the regulations that FIP is setting should be related to responsible and sustainable growth of clubs and usage of paddle-related materials. Okay, so I will ask one more question, and then I will open the floor for any questions from the audience. I would like from each one of you to hear one advice for national federations when it comes to collaboration with businesses. What do you think about collaboration between national federations and businesses?
Well, it's key to development. So for a lot of the younger countries as well, aligning with good sponsors or good businesses helps to develop the programs that all the national federations want to build. Example, as we just discussed, the juniors, and for businesses coming in, it's good for their CSR, corporate social responsibility as well, to get involved in a movement, because while paddle is a sport, it's also considered a lifestyle movement. It's health and fitness, so it is aligning with a good positive sport with a good brand is obviously key to development. Yeah.
What do you think, Oji?
Yes, I think that for the new federations, that is not easy to to collaborate to mix it between us. But the point is, I repeat, is the key is to fundamental thing is to create to grow the amateurs, the person, the players.
How would you then say, what can businesses do to support this growth in every federation? Do you, as Naomi said, I think absolutely right, is the sponsorships.
Yes.
But I think also that some level of conversation needs to happen so that federations are more open to collaborate with businesses who can then invest in the youth, in women and other participants that maybe don't have the finances to.
Yeah, I think the point, the one thing is to get a sponsorship. That is very important, and to have this point to the combination between businesses and institutions.
And it's about having something to sponsor or to support as well. It's about having that infrastructure in place. It's about having a junior development program there ready to align with the brand. It's about having, for example, we have a national circuit called the Irish Padel Tour, and that's covers all the regions. And that is something that we see as attractive to sponsors as well, because it's also providing something from the wider community. So yeah,
Absolutely. I think Padel is a great space for marketing as well, opportunities for sponsors and brands and businesses that can then, aid the growth of Padel. So before we summarize, I would like to open the floor for any questions from the audience, please. Yes, please, we have a question in the first row. Thank you.
I think it's really interesting all that you're talking about. Do you hear me? Yeah. And I agree with all these parameters. But one thing I don't hear so much about is how you turn all these players coming in, because any country starting Padel out is getting tons of new players, but very few countries are good at turning them into federation members. We look at one of the countries that are doing worst at this right now, here in Spain. It's the country in the world with most players, but with very few members of the association. So that is, I think, something that is really on your table. So how do you turn all these players into members of the federation? And that you can probably do in many ways. My background is tech, so I'm thinking a lot about how you can do this in a technical, with tech support, like to get those players to become members. And there are some simple ways you can do that. And also that will help you to get all the data from your players, like you talked about already. Knowing your players, knowing who's females, who are kids, how often they play, how much do they churn, or whatever they do. Share that information across federation as well, up to FIP and so on, with real-time data. I think some of these points are really crucial. So I'd love to hear. Now I said many things, but do you have any takes on this?
Thank you, thank you. So the question really is, how do we ensure that players that are growing in various countries are actually becoming part of basically professional sports community, and how do we measure their growth?
well, a lot of clubs, because they're, I suppose, commercial operations and privately owned. There's, I think, GDPR as well for the data that's within individual clubs. So, but it's to correlate all of that data together through the federation would be through membership licenses or player license, and then providing what are you providing as part of the player license. So that depends as well if a federation has a LinkedIn with an insurance company, which many are in the process of doing. So you have player insurance, and then also for coaches, coaching license, public liability as well. So these are different ways that federations can build upon the larger ecosystem of, you know, members or registered players, you know, having that data.
What do you think, Koji?
No, I think she answered everything.
But I think what the gentleman wants to say, there is a lot of help that we can get actually from the tech side and from the data. It's crucial for the growth. So we will like to later on see the proposals that you have. We have space for one more question, please.
Good afternoon. Mine is very simple and indirect. I think we spoke quite a bit about developing nations and nations that are coming up, and I sit sort of like in a place where we're trying to reinvent the wheel that has been invented already, but there's very few areas to pull information from, or those that have already paved the way. So I just wanted to find out from I know you say you're a bit of a newbie to it and you've been around, but I think you've already covered quite a bit in terms of where you are. Is there an opportunity for actual collaboration to say, okay, this is where we are now from the Southern African region? Are we able to learn from you? Are we able to exchange from you? Because I thought you said you also have a collaboration with Valencia Padel Association. It's things like we have no clue because we're also quite new to the business and to the growth and to the administration of the business. So the basic question is there room to collaborate with those that have already walked the path?
Yeah, always. I think so. I think it's just about reaching out. It's like, and then following through on that as well. Because there are a lot of federations and clubs and stakeholders that have developed and are willing to engage. And that's very important as well, as, you know, we're talking about not reinventing the wheel. but there's also plenty of room for innovation within the whole paddle ecosystem as well. Just because it hasn't been done doesn't mean it can't still be done as well, which is kind of exciting as the sport continues to grow. But definitely linking in with, and you know, that's really up to individual federations to take that, to follow it through, to put in that work if they want to provide opportunities for the players within their community. When I say community, country. Yeah.
What I learned also through the conversation that we had before is that sometimes it's not only through FIP that you can get information, but you go direct to different nations and ask for the question. Or, you know, I know both Naomi and Koji have been very supportive to other countries, and you know, it's as simple as write an email or pick up the phone, as I understood, and ask for some support, and then later on conversation will follow. Because as you said, Coach, you mentioned some example where you have every 2 weeks,
Every
have
2
meetings,
months, yeah.
every 2 months.
Yeah, we have the conversation with each federations to understanding, because sometimes the federation don't know what can do because they are new, or they have knowledge for understanding. So I think sometimes if you are working long time in the federation, you understanding what is the normal thing, but some new ones don't understanding the rules, you know. So this is the point that I mentioned, that we need to communicate and have information, because this is the key to grow together.
Absolutely. So, and this nicely brings us to the conclusion that actually growth needs an institutional backbone, FIP and federations that can provide direction, standards, education, data, sharing with other nations. But on the other side, they cannot build the future on their own. So they need business investment, business support, stronger collaboration, and commitment, as we said, to maybe less disabled, and to young, and to women, and other, let's say, players for the next generation. But critical is the support for a less developed market, so they can grow with better knowledge, stronger partnerships, and shared experience, while building more responsibly, which we said is critical, especially in those countries, because they cannot maybe source the materials as easy as we can in Europe or most parts of the Asia. So that is how national strategies become for global progress, not by growing separately, but by building the future of Padel together. So with that in mind, I would like to thank you all for this time and strength to survive the last 45 minutes of today. And thank you for my great speakers, and really privileged to have met you now in person. And I have to say I learned so much, and I'm sure if anybody needs support, I am happy to connect you with the right people. So thank you very much one more time.
Thank you.